She is already running. Her lungs burn before she even realizes she's gasping. Snow cuts into the soles of her feet like broken glass, sharp and merciless, but she doesn't slow down. Before we continue, please click on like and subscribe button just to support the community. She can't. The forest is screaming around her, branches cracking, ice snapping under her weight, the wind howling like it knows her name. Every breath tastes like metal and cold, and blood soaks the torn hem of her dress, sticking to her skin as she stumbles forward. She doesn't look back. She already knows what's there. Hunters. Wolves. Power. The full moon hangs heavy above the trees, swollen and bright, washing the forest in pale silver light. It should be calling her, pulling her bones apart, demanding she give in, demanding she shift. Her wolf is clawing at her from the inside. Let me out. Let me tear them apart. Let me live. The voice isn't gentle. It never is. It rips through her chest, through her spine, shaking her so hard her vision blurs. Her body wants to obey. Every instinct she has is screaming that this is what she was born for. Claws. Teeth. Speed. Strength. But she clenches her jaw and keeps running. No, she whispers, the word torn apart by the wind. Not now. Not ever. The forest doesn't care. The terrain turns treacherous beneath her feet. Ice coats the ground in uneven sheets, hidden beneath a thin layer of snow. She slips, cries out as her knee slams into something hard, pain exploding up her leg. She tastes blood. For a split second, panic claws into her throat. This is how it ends. She pushes herself up anyway. Her heartbeat is so loud it drowns out everything else. She can smell them now, wet fur, iron, authority. Alpha energy rolls through the trees behind her like a storm front, heavy and suffocating. They are close. Too close. Her wolf snarls, furious. You're going to get us killed. Her fingers curl into fists as she runs. I know, she breathes. I know. The fog creeps in without warning, thick and blinding, swallowing the forest whole. It curls around her ankles, her knees, her waist, cold and damp like ghostly hands trying to drag her down. She can barely see 10 feet ahead of her now. The world narrows to breath and pain and the pounding of her heart. This place hates her. She hates that she knows exactly where she is. The mountain rises sharply ahead, jagged and dark, and there, half hidden between leaning pines and fallen rock, is the cabin. Her stomach drops. No, she whispers again, shaking her head, as if the forest might listen. Not there. But her feet betray her. The cabin looks exactly the same as it did the last time she saw it. Old. Crooked. Abandoned by time and mercy alike. The roof sags under the weight of snow. One window is shattered, black like an empty eye staring straight at her. The door hangs slightly open, creaking softly as the wind pushes against it. She swore she'd never come back. She swore she'd rather die. A howl echoes behind her, low, powerful, full of promise and threat. Her blood turns to ice. She doesn't think anymore. She throws herself through the door and slams it shut behind her, shoving a broken table against it just as something heavy slams into the wood from the other side. The cabin shudders. Dust rains down from the ceiling. She presses her back against the door, chest heaving, hands shaking so badly she has to curl them into fists to stop them. Silence follows. Not safety. Never safety. Just waiting. The air inside the cabin is colder than outside. The smell hits her all at once, old smoke, damp wood, and something else. Something burned into the walls. Her throat tightens. She knows this smell. She's never forgotten it. Her legs finally give out. She slides down the door and sits on the frozen floor, hugging herself as her body trembles. Blood seeps from the gash in her thigh, warm against the cold, staining the snow she dragged in with her. Her wolf is still fighting. Shift. Now. Before they break through. She squeezes her eyes shut, tears freezing on her lashes. I can't, she whispers. You know what happens if I do. Memories crash into her without mercy. Fire. Silver light. Screams that never stopped. Her skin burns suddenly, sharp and unbearable, right over her ribs. She gasps, clutching at her side as heat flares beneath her palm. Even through layers of torn fabric and blood, she can feel it. The mark. It glows faintly, silver against her skin, pulsing like a living thing. Each throb sends a wave of pain and power through her body, making her teeth chatter and her vision swim. She is not weak. They were wrong about that. She's dangerous. That's what they were right about. A low growl rolls through the cabin, vibrating through the walls, through the floor, straight into her bones. Not from inside her this time. From outside. She freezes. The growl isn't wild. It isn't frantic or hungry. It's controlled. Measured. Alpha. Her breath catches in her throat. She presses a hand over her mouth, willing herself to be silent as footsteps crunch slowly through the snow outside. Each one is deliberate. Unrushed. Like whoever is out there knows exactly where she is, and isn't worried in the slightest. The table against the door shifts. Just a little. She scrambles backward, heart slamming against her ribs. Her eyes dart around the cabin, searching for anything she can use. There's nothing. Broken shelves. Rotting wood. Memories that hurt too much to touch. The door creaks open. Cold air rushes in, carrying the scent of pine, snow, and something else. Something powerful enough to make her wolf go completely still. A man steps inside. He fills the doorway like he belongs there. Tall. Broad shoulders dusted with snow. Dark hair damp from the storm, eyes catching the moonlight as he looks straight at her. Right at her. Her pulse stutters. He doesn't bare his teeth. Doesn't growl. Doesn't attack. He just says her name. Softly. Like it's a secret. Her breath leaves her in a shaky rush. How do you know me? She demands, forcing strength into her voice even as fear coils tight in her stomach. His gaze flicks to the blood on her leg. The silver glow bleeding faintly through her torn dress. His jaw tightens. I've been looking for you, he says. The words should terrify her. They do. But there's something else there too, something that makes her chest ache in a way she doesn't understand. Outside, another howl rises, closer now. Angry. Impatient. The man turns toward the sound, his expression darkening. You don't have much time. Her wolf stirs, confused. Curious. She pushes herself to her feet, swaying. I didn't ask for help. He looks back at her, and for the first time, something like pain flashes across his face. I know. The cabin shakes as something slams into the wall. Wood splinters. Snow falls from the ceiling in a fine white rain. They're here for you, he continues, calm despite the chaos. And they won't stop. Her laugh is sharp, broken. They never do. Another crash. The wall cracks. She backs away, shaking her head. You should go. If they see you with me. They already know, he interrupts. Her eyes snap to his. I know what you are, he says quietly. And I know what you've been running from. Her heart pounds so hard she thinks it might tear itself apart. No, she whispers. You don't. His gaze drops to her side, where the silver mark burns brighter now, responding to his presence. I do. The wall finally gives way. Claws tear through wood. Snow and splinters explode into the room, as a massive shape forces its way inside. Red eyes. Snapping teeth. Power radiating off it in waves. Her wolf screams. Shift now or die. She cries out, clutching her ribs as the mark flares white-hot, pain and power surging through her veins. The cabin fills with light, silver, violent, alive. The man moves instantly. He steps between her and the wolf, his own power snapping into place like armor. Stay behind me, he orders. She stares at his back, breath shaking. If I lose control. I won't let you, he says, voice firm. I promise. Promises are lies. She knows that better than anyone. But as the silver light surges around her, as the world teeters on the edge of destruction, a single thought cuts through her fear. What if he's different? What if this time, she doesn't have to face the fire alone? And if you love intense werewolf romance where fate bites hard and love burns hotter, subscribe to Moonbound Werewolf Romance Stories. Because once you step into this world, there's no escape. The silver light dies down as suddenly as it flared. Not because the danger is gone, but because something stronger has stepped into it. The cabin feels smaller the moment he fully enters. The air changes, thickens, like the pressure before lightning strikes. Snow swirls in through the open doorway, clinging to his boots, his coat, his hair. He doesn't rush. He doesn't hesitate either. He moves with the certainty of someone who knows exactly how this will end. Her heart slams so hard it hurts. She smells him before she can think. It hits her in layers. Power first, deep and ancient, not loud, not desperate. Then storms. Rain-soaked earth. Cold air before thunder. And beneath it all, something sharper. Authority. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself. Her wolf goes silent. Not calm. Alert. Watching. The Alpha King stands in the doorway like the forest itself decided to grow teeth. He turns his head just enough to look at her. His eyes meet hers, and the moment stretches thin, fragile, like a held breath. Easy, he says. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't soften it either. Her name leaves his mouth like it's always belonged there. Her chest tightens so violently she almost folds in on herself. She never told anyone her name. Not after the exile. Not after the running. Not after she learned that names were chains if the wrong person held them. Her fingers curl around the handle of the blade she barely remembers grabbing. Old habit. Survival. The metal is cold, steady, real. She points it at him with a hand that shakes despite everything she does to stop it. Don't come closer, she warns. Her voice sounds thinner than she wants it to. He glances at the blade, then back at her face. No mockery. No challenge. Just acknowledgement. I won't, he says. Outside, a snarl rips through the night, loud enough to make the walls shudder. The broken wolf forces its way farther into the cabin, claws scraping wood, breath hot and rank. Its eyes never leave her. The Alpha King shifts his stance without looking away from her. One step. That's all it takes. He positions himself between her and the threat like it's instinct, like it's always been his place. You should move behind me, he says. She laughs, sharp and brittle. You don't get to give me orders. The wolf lunges. The Alpha King moves. Not fast. Certain. He catches the attacking wolf mid-air, grips fur and bone, and drives it into the cabin wall with a sound like thunder breaking open stone. The impact rattles her teeth. The wolf howls in pain and fury, snapping, thrashing, desperate. The Alpha King doesn't snarl. He doesn't roar. He holds. His control is terrifying. The wolf fights harder, but it's useless. The Alpha King leans in, his voice low and lethal. Enough. The word lands heavy. The wolf freezes. Not because it wants to. Because it has to. Her breath catches painfully in her chest. She's seen power before. Felt it tear through her body and ruin everything it touched. But this is different. This is restraint forged sharper than violence. He releases the wolf and steps back, never turning his back on it. The creature scrambles away, injured and furious, retreating into the storm. The cabin falls quiet again. Too quiet. Her ears ring. Her wolf stirs uneasily, pressed close to the surface, but no longer screaming. The silver mark on her skin dims, though it still burns like a warning. She realizes she's staring. At him. At the way his chest rises and falls, steady despite the fight. At the faint glow in his eyes that hasn't faded yet. At the scars on his hands, old, pale lines that speak of battles fought and survived. He turns fully toward her now. I told you, he says, softer this time. You don't have much time. She swallows. I didn't ask you to save me. No, he agrees. You didn't. Then why? Her voice cracks despite her best effort. Why are you here? He studies her for a long moment. Not her body. Her face. Her eyes. Like he's measuring something that can't be seen. Because you're running, he says. And because you shouldn't have to anymore. Something inside her twists painfully. She tightens her grip on the blade. You don't know me. I know enough. She takes a step back, shaking her head. No. You don't. If you did, you wouldn't be standing there. His gaze flicks to the silver light still faintly glowing through her dress. His jaw tightens. If I weren't standing here, he says quietly, you'd already be dead. Her breath stutters. She hates that he's right. Another sound cuts through the air, footsteps outside. Multiple. Careful. Coordinated. The pack hasn't left. They are circling. Waiting for weakness. The Alpha King moves again, reaching for the door. He closes it fully this time, bracing it with practiced ease. You need to sit, he tells her. I don't need. You're bleeding, he interrupts, glancing at her leg. And you're burning from the inside out. She flinches. Don't talk like you know what that feels like. I do, he says. That stops her. He meets her gaze again, and for the first time, she sees it clearly. The weight behind his eyes. The kind of pain that doesn't scream, but never leaves. You think power doesn't hurt the one who carries it, he asks. You think control comes without cost. Her throat tightens. She lowers herself onto the edge of the broken table without meaning to. Her leg gives a painful tremor, and she hisses as fresh blood seeps through the fabric. The Alpha King crouches in front of her. Too close. Her body reacts instantly. Heat blooms low in her belly, sharp and unwelcome. Her pulse stutters. Her wolf lifts its head, confused, curious, alert in a way it hasn't been in years. The mate bond twitches. Just once. Like a wire pulled too tight and released. Her breath catches hard, and she jerks the blade up between them, the tip hovering inches from his chest. Don't, she says, panic bleeding into the word. He stills immediately. Not offended. Not angry. I won't touch you, he says. Unless you ask. That only makes it worse. Her fingers ache around the blade. You don't get it, she whispers. My body, my wolf, it doesn't listen to me around alphas. Mine does, he says. She laughs again, bitter. That's because you are one. No, he says. That's because I learned. Her eyes flick to his chest, his throat, the quiet strength in the way he holds himself. Learned what? How not to take what isn't freely given. The words settle between them, heavy and careful. Outside, the wind howls louder, throwing snow against the walls like fists. A distant growl rolls through the forest, answered by another, then another. Her time is running out. You shouldn't be alone anymore, he says again. The way he says it this time is different. Not a command. A truth. Her chest tightens, the ache so deep it scares her. She shakes her head slowly. You don't know what happens to people who stay with me. I know what happens when they leave, he replies. Silence stretches. Her wolf paces restlessly inside her, torn between instinct and fear. The silver mark pulses faintly, reacting to him like it recognizes something she refuses to name. She lowers the blade an inch. Then another. What do you want from me? She asks. His eyes soften just slightly. Right now? Yes. For you to survive the night, he says. After that, we'll see. Her lips part, then press together. She wants to hate him. Wants to fear him. Wants to believe he's just another alpha, who will decide she's too dangerous once he sees the truth. But something about him feels different. Not safer. Stronger. Outside, a howl cuts through the storm, closer than before. The Alpha King rises smoothly to his feet. They are coming. She pushes herself up beside him, blade back in her grip. Her hands are steadier now. If I lose control, I'll stop you, he says without hesitation. Her gaze snaps to his. You can't. A ghost of a smile touches his mouth. Try me. The door shudders as something slams into it again. Her wolf growls low in her chest, no longer pleading. Ready? She takes a breath, deep and shaky, and steps closer to him despite herself. The heat between them flares, electric and dangerous. The mate bond doesn't snap into place. But it's awake now. And so is the storm. The storm outside does not break when she finally speaks. It only listens. Her back presses against the cold cabin wall, wood biting into her skin through torn fabric, and for a long moment she says nothing at all. The Alpha King stands a few steps away, close enough that she can feel the heat of him, far enough that he does not crowd her. The door shudders again under the weight of bodies outside, but he doesn't move. He knows they won't break through. Not yet. She is the one who is breaking. Her breath comes shallow, uneven, each inhale scraping against something tight in her chest. The silver mark beneath her ribs pulses once, then settles, as if waiting. I wasn't always like this, she says at last. Her voice sounds strange to her own ears. Distant. Like it's coming from someone else. The Alpha King does not speak. He does not nod. He does not tell her it will be all right. He just listens. She swallows hard, eyes unfocused as the cabin fades around her, replaced by memory. She is a child again. Small. Barefoot. Laughing. The pack lands stretch wide beneath a summer sky, grass warm under her feet, the air thick with the sound of wolves shifting and unshifting as easily as breathing. She remembers the smell of it most, sun-warmed earth, fresh water, family. She remembers thinking the world was safe because everyone she loved was in it. She had been ordinary then. Not weak. Not special. Just hers. Her mother's hands in her hair. Her father's laugh when she raced the other children and came in second, always second, never last. The way the elders watched her with polite interest and nothing more. She remembers wishing, even then, to be seen. The memory shifts. She is older now, standing at the center of the ceremonial circle, heart hammering with a mix of fear and pride. It is her first shift. The night the pack celebrates who she will become. Torches burn around the clearing, flames dancing gold and red, elders chanting low and rhythmic. She can still feel the anticipation buzzing under her skin. She had wanted to do well. She had wanted to belong. The Alpha King's presence pulls faintly at her awareness in the present, but he says nothing as her gaze drifts past him, into the past. She remembers the exact moment everything went wrong. The moon rose higher than expected that night. Brighter. Heavier. The air thickened, pressing down on her shoulders, her chest. Her wolf stirred eagerly, stretching, ready to tear free. She welcomed it. When the shift began, it hurt like it always does. Bones stretching. Skin burning. The familiar agony she'd been warned about. But then came something else. Heat. Not the hot rush of muscle and fur, but something sharper. Brighter. It flared deep in her chest, spreading fast, too fast, like liquid fire in her veins. She cried out. The chanting stopped. She remembers the elders' faces first. Confusion twisting into alarm. She remembers someone shouting her name. And then the fire erupted. Silver light tore through the circle, violent and beautiful and completely out of her control. It spilled from her skin in waves, licking the air, the ground, the bodies too close to her. The smell hit next, burned fur, burned flesh, panic. Wolves screamed. Not all of them died. But enough. Enough to change everything. She remembers collapsing to her knees, her shift incomplete, body half-formed and shaking as the silver fire died down, leaving scorched earth and silence behind it. She remembers staring at her hands, at the faint glow still clinging to her skin, and not recognizing them. She remembers the elders backing away from her. Not rushing to help. Backing away. In the present, her hands tremble. They didn't even ask if I was hurt, she says softly. They didn't ask if I was afraid. The Alpha King's jaw tightens, just slightly. She keeps going. They called me cursed, she whispers. Unnatural. A future monster. The words still cut. Even now. She remembers the council chamber, the way the stone walls amplified every sound. How her name echoed as if it belonged to someone else entirely. How the elders spoke about her like she wasn't standing right there, bleeding, shaking, barely holding herself together. She remembers her mate. Chosen. Announced. Celebrated only days before. She remembers looking at him, desperate, searching his face for something, anything, that said he was still on her side. She remembers the way he wouldn't meet her eyes. When he finally spoke, his voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. I reject her, he said. The words landed like a blade. Public. Final. Cruel. She remembers the sound her heart made when it broke. She remembers thinking that if she died right then, it would almost be a relief. The blood moon rose that same night. Red. Unforgiving. Under its light, the elders pronounced her exile. No trial. No mercy. Blood moon law. She was stripped of her place, her name, her pack. Given nothing but the clothes on her back and a warning never to return. She remembers walking away while the pack watched in silence. No one stopped her. No one followed. She remembers thinking the fire inside her had taken everything. In the cabin, her voice shakes. They said I'd destroy them all if I stayed. She laughs, hollow. Maybe they were right. The Alpha King finally moves. Just a step closer. She tenses instantly, blade lifting a fraction, but he stops before she can tell him to. He lowers himself slowly, sitting on a broken crate across from her so they are eye level. Not looming. Not towering. Listening. You survived, he says. It isn't comfort. It's fact. She shakes her head. I learned to disappear. The memories blur together after that. Years of running. Of never staying anywhere long enough to be known. She learned to bind her power, to choke it down until it barely flickered. She learned to lock her wolf behind walls of fear and guilt. She learned not to want. Connection was dangerous. Love was lethal. Anyone who came too close got burned. So she stayed alone. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. She lifts her gaze to him now, eyes bright with unshed tears she refuses to let fall. That's who I really am. The words hang heavy between them. The Alpha King does not flinch. He does not look away. I don't see a monster, he says quietly. Her laugh comes out sharp. That's because you haven't seen what I can do. I've seen enough, he replies. She searches his face for pity. There is none. No fear either. Only something steady. Intent. Unyielding. It unnerves her more than hatred ever could. I hate that I feel safe with you, she admits, the confession ripping itself free before she can stop it. It makes me stupid. His mouth curves, not quite a smile. It makes you human. She scoffs. I stopped being that a long time ago. No, he says. You were taught to believe you did. The words settle deep. Outside, the storm rages on, but inside the cabin, something shifts. Not the mate bond, not yet. Something quieter. More dangerous. Hope. She hates it. Because hope is what gets you killed. And yet, as she sits there, blooded and exhausted, with the Alpha King watching her like she matters, she feels something crack open in her chest that she thought had turned to stone long ago. For the first time since the blood moon, she wonders. What if surviving was never the worst thing she did? The night does not loosen its grip when they leave the cabin. It deepens. Snow still falls, but softer now, the flakes drifting instead of cutting. The storm has moved east, leaving behind a sky stretched wide and black, stars sharp as splinters of ice. The moon hangs lower than before, swollen and watchful, its light spilling through the forest in pale rivers. She walks ahead of him at first. Not because she trusts him. Because she needs space to breathe. Each step sends a dull ache through her injured leg, but she does not slow. Pain is familiar. Pain is manageable. What unsettles her is the quiet. No pursuit. No howls. No sense of being hunted. It feels wrong. The Alpha King follows without pressing her, his presence steady at her back. He moves like the forest knows him, like the roots shift aside to make room for his steps. When branches hang low, he pushes them out of her way without touching her, careful even in that small thing. She notices. She hates that she notices. The deeper they go, the older the forest feels. The trees thicken, trunks wide and twisted, bark scarred with symbols worn smooth by time. Their branches knit together overhead, shutting out the sky until moonlight filters down in broken shards. Her wolf stirs uneasily. This place remembers. She smells it now, something ancient beneath the snow and pine. Stone. Ash. Old magic that has not been spoken aloud in generations. She slows despite herself. You know where you're taking me, she says. He nods. Yes. That should scare her more than it does. The ground slopes downward, roots knotted and exposed like veins beneath skin. The air grows warmer with every step, humming faintly, like the forest itself is holding its breath. When they reach the clearing, she stops. It opens suddenly, the trees pulling back as if in reverence. Snow does not touch the ground here. The earth is bare and dark, ringed by stones taller than a man, each carved with markings that glow faintly under the moon. At the center stands the altar. It is not grand. It is old. A slab of stone worn smooth by centuries of hands and blood and vows, its surface etched with symbols that pulse softly, silver light blooming and fading like a heartbeat. Her chest tightens painfully. No, she whispers. The Alpha King says nothing. She takes one step back, then another. This place is forbidden. It was forgotten, he replies. Not forbidden. The silver mark beneath her ribs burns hotter, responding to the altar like a living thing. Heat floods her veins, sharp and sudden, and she gasps, clutching her side as her knees threaten to give out. The symbols flare brighter. The forest exhales. Her wolf presses forward, not snarling, not pleading, listening. She shakes her head, breath coming fast. I won't be part of this. You already are, he says gently. She rounds on him, fury cutting through her fear. Everything like this ends in fire and bones. Haven't you learned that yet? He meets her anger without flinching. I learned that silence ends worse. She turns away, gaze drawn back to the altar despite herself. The light pulses again, stronger now, threads of silver crawling across the stone like veins. Fragments of memory surface, unbidden. Stories whispered to children before sleep. Half-forgotten prophecies dismissed as myth. Words no one took seriously anymore. Until now. The one with the silver mark, a voice echoes in her mind, old and layered, neither male nor female. Born of flame and fang. Her head pounds. I don't want to see, she mutters. The altar does not care. Her feet move without permission. Each step toward the stone feels heavier than the last, like she's wading through invisible water. The air hums louder, vibrating through her bones. When she reaches out, her fingers tremble inches above the surface. Don't, she whispers to herself. Her hand touches the stone. The world shatters. Light explodes behind her eyes, silver and blinding, ripping her out of her body and throwing her into something vast and endless. She cries out, but the sound is swallowed whole. She is no longer standing in the grove. She is standing above it. Above everything. She sees wolves kneeling in a great circle, heads bowed, fur dusted with ash and snow. She sees fire sweeping through corrupted land, not destroying, but cleansing, burning rot away to reveal fertile earth beneath. She sees a crown shatter against stone, breaking into pieces that glow like stars, then reforging itself in a shape she has never seen before. A shape that fits her. No, she sobs, shaking her head, as the vision tightens around her. I won't. The vision does not argue. It shows her more. A throne of roots and stone. A forest reborn. Packs standing together instead of tearing each other apart. And beneath it all, silver fire, hers, controlled, precise, alive. Then comes the shadow. Deep. Ancient. Watching. Waiting. The light snaps away. She gasps, stumbling backward, ripping her hand from the altar as if it burned her. She collapses to her knees, retching, hands shaking violently as the afterimage of silver light fades from her vision. The altar dims, but does not go dark. Across from her, the Alpha King has dropped to one knee. The sight hits her harder than the vision ever did. He kneels without hesitation, without pride, his head bowed, one fist pressed to the ground in a gesture older than titles or crowns. Not submission. Recognition. Her stomach twists violently. No, she says hoarsely. Don't do that. He looks up at her, eyes reflecting the altar's glow. It's not for you to decide whether it's true. She scrambles to her feet, backing away until her shoulders hit one of the standing stones. Panic claws at her chest, sharp and relentless. I won't be your prophecy, she snaps. I won't be your weapon. He rises slowly. No one is asking you to be. That's a lie, she says, voice breaking. Destiny always asks. And it always takes more than it gives. She turns away from the altar, pressing her hands over her ears like she can shut the forest out. The symbols still glow behind her closed eyes. The visions replay in fragments, relentless. Fire. Crowns. Kneeling wolves. Bodies. She feels the familiar weight of guilt settle over her shoulders, heavy and suffocating. This is how it starts. This is how it always starts. Power. Fear. Someone decides the risk is worth it. And people die. I destroy things, she whispers. That's what I do. The Alpha King steps closer, careful, grounding. You survived something no one else did. That doesn't make me special, she snaps. It makes me dangerous. He stops a few paces away. Sometimes those are the same thing. She laughs, raw and humorless. That's easy to say when you're not the one burning from the inside out. Silence stretches between them, thick with unspoken truths. The forest listens. You think destiny means choice is gone, he says finally. I don't. She looks at him sharply. You saw what I saw. Yes. And you're still standing there, she says. Why? His answer is immediate. Because I saw you stand. The words hit her harder than any vision. She turns away, breath shuddering. Every time someone decided I was meant for something, it ended in blood. He steps closer, just enough that she can feel his warmth. Every time you were feared, not known. She closes her eyes, fighting the tremor in her hands. The silver mark pulses again, not burning this time, but steady. Present. Waiting. I won't let it happen again, she says. He doesn't argue. Then don't, he replies. She opens her eyes slowly. The altar's glow softens, as if listening. The forest holds its breath. For the first time since the blood moon, she does not feel like the world is pushing her toward destruction. Only toward truth. And that terrifies her more than fire ever did. The forest does not give her time to breathe. The moment she turns away from the altar, the air shifts, sharp, violent, unmistakable. Authority crashes into the grove from every direction, colliding with the ancient calm like blades striking stone. Her wolf snaps to attention, hackles raised, not in hunger but warning. They are not alone anymore. She feels them before she hears them. The pressure. The weight of too many alphas forcing their presence into a place that does not belong to them. The standing stones hum louder, their faint silver glow flickering like a wounded pulse. The Alpha King straightens slowly, his body going still in that way that means war is close. They followed us, she says. Yes, he replies. And they brought more than teeth. The first howl breaks the night, long, sharp, territorial. It is answered immediately by another. Then another. Sound ricochets through the trees, layered and aggressive, a chorus of challenge and claim. Her chest tightens. Figures emerge from the shadows at the edge of the clearing, stepping between the ancient stones without reverence, boots crunching against bare earth. Wolves shift mid-stride, bones snapping and reforming with practiced ease. Fur bristles. Eyes glow. Power radiates outward in hostile waves. Rival alpha packs. She recognizes some of the scents, though she wishes she didn't. Old enemies. Opportunists. Packs that survived by circling weakness and tearing into it when it showed. They spread out quickly, forming a loose ring around the grove, cutting off every exit. The Alpha King steps half a pace in front of her. A growl ripples through the gathering, low and furious. So it's true, one of them says, voice carrying easily through the clearing. A tall alpha with ash-grey hair and a scar splitting his lip steps forward. The cursed girl lives. Her stomach drops. The words land like stones thrown at her chest. She brings disaster wherever she goes, another alpha snarls. You should have killed her when you had the chance. Her hands curl into fists. Heat coils beneath her skin, sharp and angry, responding to the threat like a blade being drawn. The Alpha King does not move. She is under my protection, he says calmly. Murmurs ripple through the packs. Shock. Anger. Calculation. You protect a destabilizing force. A woman snaps, her eyes fixed on the faint glow seeping through the fabric over the heroine's ribs. You endanger us all. She is the reason wolves burned, someone else adds. The reason packs fell. Her throat tightens painfully. The memories claw back, unwanted and vivid, fire, screams, the smell of burned fur. She takes a step back without meaning to. The Alpha King feels it. His presence shifts subtly, anchoring, a silent reminder that she is not standing alone. The Council will decide this, the ash-grey Alpha says, folding his arms. And they will not be kind. Then they will be wrong, the Alpha King replies. The air crackles. The grove trembles faintly, the altars glow pulsing brighter in warning. You stand at the edge of treason, another Alpha growls. Choose carefully. The Alpha King's voice does not rise. I already have. The words strike her harder than any accusation. Before she can respond, before she can pull away or speak or breathe, the ground shudders violently beneath their feet. A scream tears through the night. Not a wolf. Something else. The sound twists her stomach into knots. It is wrong. Too deep. Too hollow. It echoes unnaturally, as if it does not come from a single throat. The standing stones flare bright silver all at once. Get back, someone shouts. The earth splits. Shadows pour from within the ground, thick and writhing, forming shapes that should not exist, bodies too long, limbs bending at impossible angles, eyes glowing with empty hunger. Shadow beasts crawl into the clearing, their forms flickering like smoke struggling to hold shape. Panic erupts. Wolves shift instinctively, snarling, attacking. Teeth sink into darkness that does not bleed. Claws rake through shadow that reforms again and again. The beasts strike back. They move fast, too fast, slamming into wolves, knocking them aside, tearing through flesh with chilling ease. Howls of pain and fury fill the grove. Her heart slams against her ribs. This wasn't part of it, she whispers. The Alpha King is already moving, barking orders, his voice cutting through the chaos. Hold the line. Protect the center. She sees it then, the packs are splintering, breaking into chaos, alphas shouting over one another, fighting without coordination. Fear spreads faster than strategy. A shadow beast lunges toward a younger wolf, jaws wide, darkness dripping like tar. She moves without thinking. Silver fire explodes from her hands in a sharp, controlled arc, slamming into the creature and dissolving it into nothingness before it can strike. The fire does not rage. It answers. The surrounding wolves freeze, staring at her in shock. She barely notices. Another beast lunges. She steps forward, placing herself between it and a wounded alpha, her body moving on instinct, power surging through her veins like a second heartbeat. Get back, she shouts. The Alpha King turns sharply, eyes flaring as he sees her unleash the fire again, brighter this time, hotter, the silver light cutting clean through shadow. She shields. Not attacks. She stands in front of wolves who moments ago wanted her dead, her fire forming a barrier that repels the beasts instead of chasing them. The realization hits the packs like a physical blow. She's protecting us, someone gasps. Fear shifts. Not gone, but confused. Her control slips. Just a little. The silver fire flares too wide, licking the air, scorching the ground. The standing stones hum louder, reacting, warning. The ancient grove does not reject her, but it does not shield her either. Power always demands balance. Her chest tightens painfully. The mark beneath her ribs burns white-hot, the familiar ache of overload spreading fast. She staggers. The Alpha King is at her side instantly, gripping her arm, grounding her with sheer presence. Breathe, he orders. Look at me. She does. For a heartbeat, the world narrows to his eyes, steady and unafraid. She draws the fire back in. The shadow beasts recoil, shrieking as the remaining wolves regroup, striking together now, more confident, more united. Victory comes fast once fear loosens its grip. The last beast dissolves into smoke, leaving the grove scorched and silent. Heavy breathing fills the air. Wolves stare at her. At the silver glow still fading from her hands. The silence is worse than the fighting. She nearly lost control, the ash-grey Alpha says coldly. You all saw it. She saved lives, someone else snaps back. And next time she might end them, another counters. The argument ignites instantly. She's a weapon. She's a shield. She doesn't belong here. The Alpha King steps forward, his presence crashing down like a hammer. Enough. The voices die instantly. He turns to face her, his expression unreadable. Her stomach twists. This place isn't safe for you, he says quietly. She stares at him. You're sending me away. I am giving you a choice, he replies. Before they take it from you. The ash-grey alpha scoffs. You're choosing her over your crown. The Alpha King does not look away from her. If those are the terms you insist on. Her chest aches. Fear surges again, sharp and familiar. This is the moment. The one she knows too well. Where someone decides the cost is too high. Where she becomes the problem. She steps back slowly, shaking her head. I won't be the reason they tear you apart. His jaw tightens. This isn't. I won't, she repeats, voice breaking. Not again. She turns before he can stop her. The forest opens reluctantly, branches shifting as she runs, her injured leg screaming in protest. She doesn't slow. She doesn't look back. She hears someone call her name. She doesn't answer. Behind her, the Alpha King steps to the edge of the grove and drives his clawed hand into the earth. Power pulses outward, a mark burned into stone and soil alike, a promise, a warning. His voice carries through the trees, low and ironbound. This ends soon. She doesn't hear the words. But she feels them. And they haunt her as she disappears into the dark. She runs until the forest forgets her name. Until the ground softens beneath her feet, and the trees thin enough for moonlight to spill through in long, pale ribbons. Until her lungs burn so badly she tastes blood, and her injured leg finally gives out beneath her. She collapses at the edge of a ravine, snow dampening her fall, breath tearing in and out of her chest like something broken and sharp. The night is quiet here. Not peaceful. Just empty. The kind of quiet that presses in on you until your own thoughts feel too loud. She curls inward, arms wrapped tight around herself, shaking. This is always how it goes. She saves them. She scares them. She leaves. The silver mark beneath her ribs throbs in time with her heartbeat, not angry now, not blazing, just present. A reminder that no matter how far she runs, she carries the fire with her. Her wolf is silent again. Not locked away. Watching. Waiting. She doesn't know how long she lies there before she feels him. Not his footsteps. His presence. It settles into the clearing like gravity, steady and unmistakable. The air shifts. The moonlight seems to sharpen, edges growing clearer, brighter. She doesn't turn around. You shouldn't have followed me, she says hoarsely. I didn't, he replies. She closes her eyes. Liar. A pause. Then softer, I tracked your blood. She swallows. Of course he did. She forces herself to sit up, wincing as pain flares through her leg. She finally turns to face him, and freezes. He stands a few paces away, leaning heavily against a tree. His coat is torn, dark with blood at the shoulder and along his ribs. One arm hangs stiff at his side, fingers flexing like they don't quite obey him. He looks pale. Not weak. But hurt. You're wounded, she says. He shrugs, a careless motion that makes his jaw tighten. Nothing worth troubling the packs over. Anger sparks through her exhaustion. You refused help. Yes. Why? Because they wanted something in return, he says simply. The words settle heavy between them. She pushes herself to her feet, swaying slightly. Sit down. He raises a brow. That wasn't a request. She glares at him. You're bleeding into the snow. A faint smile touches his mouth despite the pain etched into his face. He lowers himself carefully onto a fallen log, breath hitching as he does. She approaches slowly, wary despite everything. Up close, the scent of him is stronger, storm and iron and something warmer beneath it all. Familiar now. Dangerous in a different way. She kneels in front of him, hands hovering inches from his wounds. If I do this, she says quietly, you can't tell anyone. His gaze sharpens. What are you going to do? She meets his eyes. Something I was forbidden to learn. She doesn't wait for permission. Silver light blooms softly between her palms, controlled, precise. Not the violent flare from the grove. This is different. Quieter. Intimate. The glow warms the air, bathing his skin in pale fire, as she presses her hands gently to his wounds. He inhales sharply. Not in pain. In surprise. The magic flows into him like a whisper instead of a scream, knitting torn flesh, easing swelling, drawing the blood back beneath the skin. She focuses on control, on restraint, on not letting the fire answer too loudly. Her brow furrows in concentration. Sweat beads at her temples. He watches her closely, but he does not interrupt. When she finally pulls her hands away, the glow fades, leaving his skin whole again, scarred but healed. She exhales shakily and sits back on her heels. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The moon hangs above them, bright and unjudging. I never wanted the crown, he says suddenly. She looks up, startled. I was born into it, he continues. Raised for it. Trained to carry it whether I wanted it or not. She swallows. And yet you wear it well. Because I learned what happens when no one does, he replies. She nods slowly. I never wanted power. He studies her face. And yet it found you anyway. A sad smile touches her lips. It always does. The silence that follows is not empty. It stretches soft and fragile, filled with unspoken truths. Her wolf stirs. Not in warning. In recognition. The mate bond pulses suddenly, violently, like a heartbeat slamming against her ribs. She gasps, hand flying to her chest as heat floods her veins. He feels it too. His breath catches, eyes darkening as the air between them tightens, charged and electric. Neither of them moves. Neither of them dares. If this goes further, she whispers, I don't know if I can stop it. I'm not asking you to, he murmurs. The distance between them shrinks without either of them deciding to close it. Her breath mingles with his. The warmth of his body seeps into her chilled skin. Almost. So close she can feel the promise of it. He lifts a hand, hesitates, then cups her cheek with a gentleness that makes her chest ache. I see you, he says softly. All of you. The words unravel something inside her. For one fragile moment, she almost believes him. Almost believes that staying might not end in fire. Almost believes that trust is not just another way to get burned. Her eyes close. And somewhere deep in the forest, something ancient shifts. Watching. Waiting. Unseen. The mate bond thrums again, restless, unfinished. And the night holds its breath. The sky does not warn her. It never does. One moment the world feels suspended, breath held, heartbeat stuttering, the fragile almost of hope still trembling in her chest, and the next it collapses. The clearing fills with sound. Footsteps first. Dozens of them. Then voices. Sharp. Commanding. Fear dressed up as authority. Torches bloom like angry stars between the trees, their fire crude and ugly compared to the silver glow that still hums faintly beneath her skin. She pulls back from him instinctively, every nerve screaming. He rises to his feet in one smooth motion, body angling slightly in front of her without thinking. Protective. Automatic. Too late. The council steps into the moonlight. Elders draped in fur and iron. Alphas with hardened eyes and wolves pressed tight beneath their skins. Banners snap in the cold wind, symbols of packs that have hunted, exiled, and erased for generations. And at the center of them all, the seer. Old. Bent. Smiling like this is the ending she's been waiting for. There she is, the seer says, voice thin and sharp. The silver bound. Her stomach drops. The name ripples through the crowd like a blade drawn slowly from its sheath. The Alpha King stiffens. Her breath turns shallow. She did not give them her name. She did not give them her story. But they have it anyway. How did you find me? She whispers, though she already knows. The seer's gaze slides to the Alpha King. You were never as careful as you thought. Silence crashes down. Slowly, painfully, she turns to look at him. His jaw tightens. His eyes flicker, just once, to the seer, then back to her. He doesn't deny it. The truth lands like a physical blow. You told them, she says. No, he replies immediately. I told them enough to buy time. Her laugh breaks out, sharp and disbelieving. You don't buy time with blood. She was always going to be found, an elder snaps. Better now than after she destroys us all. The words sting worse than any blade. The seer steps forward, staff tapping against frozen ground. The prophecy was never unclear, she intones. The one with the silver mark will bring fire. She will break crowns. She will burn the world to ash so something new can crawl from the remains. Murmurs spread. Fear feeds on fear. Her chest tightens, lungs struggling to pull in air. That's not what it said, she says hoarsely. That's not. You touched the altar, the seer interrupts. You woke what should have remained buried. The signs are complete. She shakes her head. I protected them. I shielded wolves. I ran when I could have destroyed. Because you wanted us to trust you, another alpha snarls. Classic deception. The words pile up. Accusation layered on accusation, until she can barely hear herself think. Execution. Binding. Containment. They speak of her like she is already a weapon laid across a table, something to be dismantled for safety. She looks at him again. At the Alpha King. At the man who stood between her and hunters. Who bled for her. Who said he saw all of her. Say something, she whispers. His shoulders tense. The council turns to him as one. You were warned, the seer says. Choose your crown, or choose the girl. The world narrows to a single second. A single breath. He hesitates. Just for a moment. Just long enough. It is not cruelty. It is calculation. Responsibility weighing heavier than desire. But to her, it is everything. That second cracks something deep inside her chest. Not loudly. Quietly. Like ice giving way beneath unseen weight. I understand, she says softly. Her voice barely carries, but the silver mark beneath her skin ignites. Pain floods her veins, hot and blinding. The fire she's buried, chained, starved for years surges upward, no longer content with silence. Do not, he starts. Too late. The air screams. Silver fire tears free, spiraling into the sky like a living thing. Clouds recoil. Stars vanish behind blinding light. The ground fractures beneath her feet, shockwaves ripping outward as wolves cry out in terror. She doesn't mean to hurt anyone. But her control is gone. Fear drives the flame. Betrayal feeds it. The sky scars. A wound of molten silver splits the heavens, burning itself into memory, into legend. Trees bow. Stone shatters. The council stumbles back, shields raised too late. He reaches for her. She pulls away. Her eyes blaze, not with rage, but with heartbreak so vast it has nowhere else to go. I warned you, she says, voice echoing with something ancient and raw. If I broke, someone would die. No, he shouts. Listen to me. I did, she whispers. And then she is gone. The fire collapses inward, folding around her like wings. The forest howls as the light vanishes, leaving scorched earth and stunned silence behind. Snow drifts down again, settling over burned ground. Over broken certainty. Over the place where she stood. The seer exhales slowly, satisfied. It is done. The Alpha King drops to his knees. The world believes her lost. Burned. Consumed by her own power. They tell stories to comfort themselves. They say the silver-bound vanished into ash. They say the threat ended. They are wrong. Far from the council's reach, far from the packs that feared her name, she crashes into darkness, into cold stone and ancient roots, into a place the world forgot existed. She wakes screaming. Silver fire flickers weakly along her skin before dimming, exhausted, spent. Her wolf rises at last. Not chained. Not suppressed. Whole. She curls inward, sobbing silently as the truth settles into her bones. She trusted. She believed. And the world chose the crown. Something inside her hardens. Not hatred. Resolve. If destiny insists on making her a monster, then she will decide what kind. The fire stirs again. Not wild. Waiting. And somewhere beneath the scarred sky, the Alpha King stares at the place she disappeared, her absence louder than any roar. He feels the mate bond stretch. Not broken. Taut. Alive. A promise. A warning. This was not the end. It was the fracture. And the world will bleed for what it did next. The night she returns, the world is already burning. Not with her fire. With something darker. The ritual site fractures beneath a sky choked by ash and screaming wind. Stone pillars that stood for centuries split like bone. Ancient runes flare red, then black, their meaning twisted into something violent and wrong. Wolves scatter across the ravine, some limping, some dragging the wounded, some standing frozen in terror, as the ground heaves beneath them. The packs came together too late. Unity did not save them. The shadow pours in from the between worlds like smoke given hunger. It moves against the wind, crawls along stone, coils around throats. Where it touches, wolves fall, eyes glassing, breath ripped away as if the night itself is drinking them dry. Alphas roar orders that dissolve into chaos. The Alpha King fights at the center of it all, blood streaking his arms, his wolf half-shifted and snarling as he tears through creatures that do not bleed. His strikes land. His claws pass through shadow. His power meets something that does not fear him. For the first time in his life, he feels it. Helplessness. The bond burns in his chest, sharp and unrelenting, pulling him toward a place he cannot see. Alive. She is alive. He knows it with the same certainty he knows his own name. The seer screams warnings no one listens to. Elders collapse as the ritual circle caves inward. The earth opens like a wound, swallowing light, sound, hope. And then the air stills. Not fades. Stops. The shadows recoil as if struck. Silver light spills across the ruined altar, soft at first, then blinding. It pours upward from the, not exploding outward, but rising, controlled, deliberate, alive. She steps through it. Bare feet touch shattered stone. Her hair moves as though underwater, lifted by power that bends the world around her. The silver mark across her skin no longer burns, it glows, steady and sure, veins of light threading through her like constellations come to life. Her eyes lift. The shadow freezes. Wolves stop running. Even the wind holds its breath. She looks different. Not older. Not colder. Whole. The wolf at her core no longer thrashes. It stands beside her, massive and luminous, a presence felt rather than seen. Its gaze mirrors hers, calm, furious, unafraid. The Alpha King turns. Their eyes meet across the broken ground. The bond slams into him like thunder. She is no longer hiding. She is no longer afraid. And she is done running. Step back, her voice carries, led with something ancient, something that does not shout to be heard. The wolves obey. Not because she commands them. Because every instinct they have recognizes the truth standing before them. The shadow surges. She raises one hand. Silver fire unfurls, not wild, not consuming. It moves like a living veil, sweeping across the field. Where it touches the shadow, it does not explode. It cleanses. The darkness screams. Not in pain. In recognition. The corruption peels away, burned down to its core. Wolves caught in its grip collapse, but they breathe. They live. The fire curves around them, refuses them harm. She walks forward as the world parts. Stone melts beneath her steps, reforging itself. Broken runes realign, ancient symbols correcting themselves, as if relieved to finally be seen by the right eyes. Voices rise around her. Not from the living. From the deep. From the blood and bone of history. Ancestors. Alpha mothers. Kings who ruled before crowns were forged of gold instead of oath. Their words pour through her, not overwhelming, but steady. You are not the sacrifice. You are the balance. You are the fire that chooses. She reaches the center of the ritual site as the shadow convulses, pulling inward, gathering mass. It thickens, condenses, then tears itself open from within. Something steps out. Tall. Broad. Too solid to be smoke, too wrong to be flesh. Its eyes glow red, ancient and furious. Its form is half wolf, half memory, crowned with horns etched in runes older than any living pack. The true villain. The first alpha. Long dead. Never gone. I knew you would come, it says, voice grinding like stone on stone. You always do. The world always sends fire to erase what it fears. She meets its gaze without flinching. You were erased for a reason. It laughs, the sound splitting the ground beneath them. I was betrayed. Just like you. The Alpha King steps forward, growling. You don't speak for her. The creature's eyes flick to him, amused. You already chose your crown once, boy. Will you do it again? The bond tightens. She lifts her hand slightly. He stops. Not because she orders him to. Because he trusts her. I am not here to erase the world, she says. And I am not here to save it for you. The first Alpha's smile twists. You think you are different. She nods once. I know I am. The shadow lunges. She does not retreat. Silver flame explodes outward, not as destruction, but as truth. The ground shakes. The sky fractures again, this time with light. The ancestors roar through her, lending strength, lending memory. She stands between annihilation and mercy. Between what was and what could be. The Alpha King feels it then, not as fear, not as awe, but as certainty. This is not the end of her story. This is the moment the world begins to change. And it will never be the same again. The fire dies down slowly, but it does not leave her. Not really. It lingers in the air, a soft, silver haze curling around her ankles, tracing the curve of her legs, whispering through her hair. The moon hangs heavy and low, spilling its cold, white light across the battlefield that is no longer a battlefield. Wolves kneel before her, heads bowed, eyes shining, their fur catching the glow as though each strand carries a fragment of her power. The ruins of stone pillars and shattered earth are quiet now, save for the soft hiss of lingering embers, and the distant wind that carries the scent of ash, silver flame, and rain yet to fall. She stands alone in the center, crowned by moonlight, silver fire tracing the lines of her mark, pulsing faintly across her skin, alive and patient. Her chest rises and falls unevenly, as though each breath is a negotiation with the fire still singing in her veins. She does not smile. She does not look triumphant. She looks uncertain. Tired. Heavy with the weight of choices she cannot fully undo, choices she knows will echo through packs and forests, lifetimes and legacies, long after she disappears into legend or shadow. Her hands tremble slightly at her sides, the heat of power humming against her fingers, a reminder that she has been forged in fire, fear, and exile, and that she has survived all three. Wolves glance up at her, still kneeling, waiting. Some of them will follow her to the ends of the world. Some will leave. She does not know which. She only knows that she cannot undo what was done, cannot unmake the bond between destiny and herself, cannot escape the pulse of fire that marks her as both danger and salvation. The Alpha King steps into the silver haze, his shadow stretching long and lean against the embers. His eyes meet hers, steady, unwavering, as if he sees every fragment of her soul, every jagged edge, every wound, every spark of fire that could destroy the world. And for the first time in days, she allows herself to look at him without fear. She sees loyalty in the set of his shoulders, and something else, something raw and unspoken. Recognition. Understanding. A choice that no one else can force him to make. But the moment is fragile. The ruins are silent, yes, but the world beyond waits, holding its own breath. Pacts will talk. Prophecies will twist. Fear will rise like tides in hearts already weary of survival. And she knows, deep in her marrow, that even now, though she has claimed her power, she has not yet claimed her place. The narrator's voice rises, gentle, yet cutting through the silver haze like the light of dawn breaking over frozen earth. Would you have chosen her, or feared her too? The question hangs in the air, heavier than smoke, sharper than any blade. Would you step forward with her into the fire, into the storm, into the uncertain path that destiny has carved in silver and blood? Or would you turn, trembling, and let the fear of the unknown rule your heart? She shifts her gaze toward the kneeling wolves, toward the shattered ruins, toward the moonlit sky above that seems impossibly wide and endless. She does not answer. Not yet. Not out loud. Because the truth is, she does not know if anyone could answer for her, or with her, without the fire consuming them too. A whisper of wind stirs across the clearing, carrying ash and silver light. Somewhere in the distance, a lone wolf lifts its head and howls, a note of recognition that reaches through the silence, calling to those who will follow, those who will rise or fall. And the narrator leans closer, voice soft, intimate, pulling the listener into the very pulse of the night. If this story lit something inside you, if the fire of silver and moonlight, of wolves and destiny, of love that burns through fear, touched your soul, subscribe to Moonbound Werewolf Romance Stories. Because here, we tell tales that burn. Tales that refuse to fade quietly into shadow. Tales where every heartbeat matters, and every choice can set the world alight. The camera, or the mind's eye, lingers on her form, bathed in silver flame, standing tall yet uncertain, a queen of fire and shadow, a girl who refuses to be a victim, a wolf who refuses to be tamed. And for one long, silent heartbeat, the world seems to hold its breath with her, waiting to see what comes next, waiting to see if anyone has the courage to step forward, into the fire, into the story, into the truth. The silver haze curls higher, wrapping around the standing stones like a crown made not of gold, but of light and destiny. The wolves kneel, but their eyes burn. The forest watches. The moon watches. And the listener, who has run with her, feared with her, burned with her, watches too. The story does not end here. Not really. It stretches forward, like fire racing across the sky, like wolves racing under moonlight, like love and rage and power all intertwined. And the choice, the choice is not hers alone. Would you stand with her? Or would you turn away? The clearing shivers with the weight of it all. Shadows retreat reluctantly, embers glow faintly, and silver fire drifts higher into the night, not fading, but lingering, an invitation, a warning, a promise. Because some stories, some fires, are never meant to be forgotten. And neither is she. The silver haze drifts slowly, curling over the ruined stones and kneeling wolves, but the quiet is uneasy. Not peaceful. Not final. It hangs in the air like a promise, like the pause before the storm strikes again. Her body is still, but her senses are electric, alert. Every rustle of leaves, every distant howl, every snap of ice beneath unseen paws draws her attention. She knows the world has not forgiven her, has not understood. Yet it does not matter. Not anymore. She has claimed herself. And that alone has changed everything. The Alpha King steps closer, cautious, reverent even, his gaze searching hers for signs of weakness, of retreat. He sees none. Not a flicker. The bond between them hums faintly, a pulse beneath the skin that binds and warns. They do not speak. Words are useless here. She does not need them. He does not need them. The fire inside her, the weight of destiny, the resonance of her ancestors speaking through her, it is enough. But the forest listens. The standing stones watch. The ruins tremble. And beneath the ground, something stirs. A slow, deep vibration, faint at first, then growing, shaking loose pebbles and cracks across the stone. The wolves lift their heads instinctively, ears pricked, tails stiff. The Alpha King feels it too, a shiver crawling up his spine, his wolf stirring in sudden tension. She's not finished, he murmurs, though he knows it is more than a murmur. It is truth. And then the earth shudders violently, ripping through the ritual site, with a roar like 1,000 dying beasts. Dust and stone erupt into the silver-tinged sky. Trees bend as if bowing to some unseen force. The crown of power that had formed over her in silver light, floating like a halo, quivers. Cracks split the luminous formation. Tiny sparks scatter across the clearing like fireflies fleeing an unseen predator. Her eyes widen. She steps forward instinctively, hands reaching toward the fractured crown, as if she could catch the fragments before they scatter into the void. The wolves hiss and growl softly around her, instinctively protective, knowing the moment carries danger far beyond their understanding. A voice drifts through the clearing, almost swallowed by the wind, almost lost to the trembling earth, but unmistakable, unmistakably alive. She is not the only one. The words ripple through her bones. The silver fire along her skin flares in response, reaching higher, brighter, stretching outward into the trembling night. The air thickens with energy, heavy with threat and promise both. Her wolf growls low in her chest. The Alpha King stiffens, eyes scanning the dark edges of the forest, searching for the unseen, the impossible, the source of this whisper from nowhere. The trees shiver as though the wind itself bends to the will of something older, darker, infinitely more powerful than any pack or prophecy. The ground continues to quake beneath them, fissures widening, twisting, swallowing fallen stone, glowing faintly with the shadow of a force that does not belong to this world, or perhaps does, but has been sleeping too long. She feels it deep inside her, through the fire, through the mark, through the wolf that kneels in quiet reverence beneath her skin. It is a pull, a thread, a calling she cannot ignore. It is familiar, yet terrifying. She knows, without knowing how she knows, that she has only scratched the surface of what is coming. That her power, her destiny, is a single note in a symphony she cannot yet hear in full. The Alpha King reaches for her, voice firm, grounding, whatever it is, whatever comes next, you will not face it alone. She looks at him. Not in fear. Not in doubt. But with the weight of understanding settling like iron across her chest. I may not have a choice, she whispers, but I will not run again. A sudden wind rises, cutting through the forest like a blade. Silver embers whirl in spirals around her, lifting hair, sweeping across fur and stone. The wolves crouch, growling, eyes narrowed, muscles tense. She stands taller, a pulse of energy radiating outward, her ancestors whispering in tongues older than words, older than time. And then the darkness at the edge of the clearing moves. Slowly. Calculated. Unnatural. Shapes coil and stretch in the void, watching, waiting. The first Alpha, the one beyond death, beyond legend, beyond time itself, stirs. She is not alone, the whisper repeats. Soft. Sinister. Certain. The ground trembles again, louder, sharper. Fishes snake outward in every direction, cracking through stone and roots alike. Sparks of shadow and silver collide in the night air. Wolves hiss. Wolves howl. Wolves leap forward instinctively, then hesitate. Something far greater than any pack commands caution, commands reverence. She breathes through it, focusing on the fire she controls now. Not just a weapon. Not just a shield. A voice. A presence. A claim. And in this moment, she understands, to stand, she must not merely fight. She must embody the balance. The choice. The reckoning. The Alpha King steps closer again, his own power simmering beneath calm control, wolf half-shifted, eyes glowing, not in anger, but recognition. He does not ask her to hold back. He knows she cannot. And he would not, even if he could. And for a single heartbeat, the world pauses. The wind stops. The trembling slows. Shadows hesitate. Even the whispers fade. All that remains is her, crowned in silver fire, standing on cracked earth, wolves kneeling in acknowledgement, moonlight bending around her like it seeks to claim her as its own. The voice comes one last time, echoing from the void, carrying a weight that chills the marrow. She is not the only one. And just like that, the light and shadow, fire and earth, wolf and girl, destiny and power, all snap back into motion. The fishes widen. Trees sway violently. Wolves leap forward. Shadows twist and coil. And she, immortal, human, wolf, flame, takes a step toward what comes next, unwavering, unafraid, the ground beneath trembling in fear, in awe, in anticipation. And then, black. The world vanishes into night. The story is not over. The fire, the bond, the prophecy, they all wait. And so does she. The next chapter is coming. And the listener, the watcher, the believer, waits too. Because some fires refuse to be forgotten. Some wolves refuse to be tamed. And some girls refuse to be sacrificed.